1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Future cat. If you look down, you can see the cat. Future cat.
Fantastic! Thank you! Hello Internet. Well, it took a long time, but I finally finished the kids' quilts. Actually, it didn't take quite as long as it might seem from the length of time between videos. I did actually finish the quilts in late November and presented them to the kids early December. But then all my good intentions of getting lots of videos edited over the summer break just didn't happen. Because, you know, I spent my time doing important things like hanging out with family and reading and swimming and enjoying the sunshine and generally not sitting inside in front of a computer. So now let us travel back into the dim past of 2018 and see some of the process of finishing the quilts, and most importantly, how the kids reacted to the finished product. Here's the finished quilt top for Millie's quilt. Took me forever to do. As you'll notice, it's acquired a border along the way, partly just because it was going to be very small, but also I felt like the stars on the edge needed to be full stars, and I didn't have enough of the background fabric to put a strip all the way around so that I could have those points coming out. But I did have enough of the darker purple, and I thought, well, if I'm going to put a different coloured border on it, I'm going to make it a proper border. So I managed to piece together enough pieces just to get quite a large border, and I think it looks really amazing. So now I just need to put a backing together for it and then figure out how I'm going to quilt it. Millie wanted the purple stripy fabric along with her rainbow fabric, so I'm just sewing a strip of it down each side, which will make it pretty perfectly the right size for her quilt. So there's the backing. I thought about doing something really complicated, combining the two fabrics that Millie wanted together, but then when I had a look at the size of the rainbow piece, it was almost big enough to cover the whole thing, so I thought I'll just put some stripes down the sides and that makes it big enough. I also didn't want to have too many seams in the back because the front has already got some quite bulky seams in it with all those little half square triangles coming together. So adding even more seams on the back probably wouldn't be the most sensible idea. It would make the quilting too difficult. I did think briefly about putting the stripy border along the top and bottom as well, but because it's stripy, to do that effectively I would have had to like mitre the corners, and that's a skill I haven't quite learnt yet, so Yeah, this didn't seem like this was the right quilt to experiment on, because I've got to get it finished so that Millie can have it. So I think just the stripes down the side is effective and simple. The quilting I did on Millie's quilt was reasonably simple because the patchwork sort of speaks for itself, so it didn't need a lot more. I did some just simple point-to-point quilting in the stars to kind of emphasize the star shape a bit, and then between it I just did a squiggly filler with occasional little star shapes just to keep the star theme going, but it was pretty much a nice all over design, didn't have to think about it a lot. Here's the Harmony quilt top done. I think it looks quite impressive actually. I'm surprised how much I like the secondary patterns that she ended up with. It looks quite cool. Now I've got to make a back for it. This back's going to be a bit trickier than the one for Millie's quilt because the pieces she chose are quite small, so I need to patch them all together. Managed to patch together enough of the bits of different fabrics to cover the back of Harmony's quilt. I don't know if that dark purple down the sides will actually be necessary. It might get trimmed off, but I just wanted to make sure there was enough that I wasn't going to be losing any of the edges of the quilt. So yeah, it's a bit of a mishmash, but at least it's the fabric she wanted and it's big enough now. Harmony's quilt, I decided to follow her lead in having created all those secondary shapes out of the various flying geese units. So I picked out some of the shapes that she'd created, outlined them with Stitch in the Ditch, and then I filled them in with various designs that emphasised the shapes. And then in the rest of the quilt, I used an improv quilting technique I got out of one of Angela Walters' books, where you basically just combine whatever particular quilting designs you want. So feathers and pebbles and flower motifs and various swirls and filler stuff. I felt like the sort of more random nature of the quilt worked well with having that more unstructured kind of quilting on it. Okay, who wants to be first then? Okay, right, tell me what we're doing today.
We're going to be looking at outfit.
Yes. Okay, whose quilt was to be first? Okay. Right, are you ready to see this? Are you ready? Are you sure? What do you think? Is that what you imagined?
Can I see the back?
Yeah. You'll try it? You think that would keep you nice and warm?
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
And now, the next.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Don't do it.
Oh, wait.
Yay, it looks beautiful.
That's what you imagined? huge to keep you warm.
Did I have Daniel when she was happy? Did I have... I actually want to say this. So big.
You happy with that?
Yes.
Good.
What do you say?
Thank you.
No problem, it was a pleasure.
What do I look like?
You look like a wise old owl. Let's do the quilt.
So, as you can tell, the girls were pretty happy with their quilts. And their mother reports back that despite it being summer, they have taken every opportunity they can to wrap themselves in their quilts and to play in their quilts. They even wanted to take their quilts on holiday with them. So, I think I can call that a success.
Future cat. If you look down, you can see the cat. Future